All right, guys, so what we're doing today is we are finishing up chapter 1.2, our cubed roots. We're finishing up our cubed roots. Now, our cubed roots, what we're doing is just evaluating the expressions with these cubed roots. So we did these yesterday. We did these the day before, so we're just finishing these up here. So the first thing we're going to do with these here is simplify them. Now, it told us x is equal to 192. So this is actually kind of, I'm going around in circles, but this is similar to what we did on Tuesday and Wednesday. What we did on Tuesday and Wednesday where we plugged the value in. So we're going to plug 192 in for x. So we're going to have 192 over 4 plus the cubed root of 192 over 3. So we're just plugging 192 in. Now at this point here, you can go on and plug it into the calculator. So I'm going to grab my calculator and do this here. And I'd go on and plug it all in. 194 over 3 plus second, our caret key, or what I call the caret key, 3. And inside the cubed root, 192 over 3, and hit enter. Now it's going to tell us that it's approximately 68.666666 repeating. Or it's approximately 68 2/3, because 2/3 is the same as this 0.666666 repeating. They're going to be the same thing. Actually, I take that back. If I just realized I plugged it in wrong, because you're probably saying, no, Mr. McClendon, that's not what you get. And you're right, because if I plug it in right, we'll get 52.5. We'll get a nice whole number. It's 52.5. That is our answer, because once we plug it in, that's what we get. Because if we take 194 and divide it by 4, if we did this out by hand, we would get 48.5. Now, if we do the cubed root of 192 divided by 3, we get 4. So when we add those two together, we get 52.5. And that's all we have to do for this here. We're just plugging that number in. So let's look at another example of this here. So we have 9x plus the cubed root of x, where x is 127. So again, we are plugging 127th in for x. So we plug 127th in for x. Now we can plug it into the calculator. You can just plug this straight in, do 9 times 127th plus the cubed root of 127. Hit enter, and it would give you your answer. So if we do this by hand, we do 9 times 127th, 9 times 1 over 27, we get 1/3. Now if we do the cubed root of 127, we will get 1/3. And I'll plug it in here just to make sure. Yes, it is 1/3, and 1/3 plus 1/3 is 2/3, or 0.6 repeated. Either one. So 2/3 or 0.6 repeated would be your answer. That's all we have to do for this here. That's all we have to do to solve these here. Now let's look at this next one here. So again, this one here, I want you to pause the video. At this point here, hit the pause, hit the space. Do whatever you need to do to pause it. Wave, flap, clap, pause. Okay. After you pause the video, I want you to work this one out. Actually, I probably should have said that beforehand. Okay, work this one out and then pause. Now, after you've paused it and worked this out, hopefully you got this here by plugging in 1080 for W, 1080 over 30, minus the cubed root of 1080 over 5. When you plug this into the calculator, you should get 30. 30 is your answer. So hopefully you got 30, and that's all you've got to do here. You're just plugging this in. All right, let's do another one. So again, pause this video, work this problem out, and then check to see if you got the same answer as I did. Now hopefully you just paused it and already got the answer, and hoping to see that we get the same answer. So we're going to do 64 times 128, because again, we're plugging in 128 for n, or 1 over 128, so 128. And now we're going to take the cube root of 2 times 1 over 128. Now at this point here, we can plug the whole thing into the calculator. So 64 parentheses 1 over 128 minus the cubed root of 2 times 1 over 128. And what you should get, or probably already have, is 1/4. That is your answer. That's all we have to do for this one here. Our final answer is 1/4. So again, go on and pause the video here. Do both of these, work both of these out. All right, so our 2 problems here, so hopefully you went on and paused them, worked them out, got your answer. So when we work these out, what we do for number 7 is we're going to plug 64 in for y. So we're going to have 8 times 64 plus 64. Now make sure you have this plus 64, this part here, outside of the cubed root, outside of that radical. It needs to be on the outside, otherwise you're going to get the wrong answer. Now when you plug all this in, you should get that the answer is 72. 72. And that's our answer. Now number 8, hopefully you already did this one here. You're going to plug -3 in for b. So we'll have 2 times -3 minus the cube root of 9 times -3. Now if you remember back to 8th grade math, what you did last year, hopefully you remember back that far. With coronavirus, I know it might be a little difficult, but you remember with square roots, we can't have a negative inside the radical, but it's fine with cube roots. It's fine with any odd root. Whatever the root here, the number, this number here, this 3, if it's odd, it's fine. So 3 is odd. So having a negative number inside of this root is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And we can plug it into the calculator, and the calculator will tell us that this simplifies down to -3. And we're done. That's it. That's all we have to do for this here. Evaluating an algebraic expression. Evaluate this when x is -6. This isn't any different than what we just did. It's just phrasing it differently. We're calling it an algebraic expression. It's the same thing we just did. So all we're going to do here is we're going to take -6 and plug it in for our x in both of these spots. So we're going to have 5 times the cubed root of 3 times -6 minus 9. And here we're going to have -7 times -6. And now you can plug it into the calculator. That's all you have to do. You plug it in, you've got your answer. Or if you do it by hand, well, 3 times -6 is -18 minus 9. Well, -6 times -7, that's going to be positive 42. -18 minus 9 is -27 plus 42. Now, if we take the cubed root of -27, we find out that it's -3. 5 times -3 is -15. -15 plus 42, 7, 2, 27, and that is it. That's all we have to do for this here. So that's all we have to do for this problem here. It's the same thing. Hopefully you're telling yourself or saying to yourself, don't yell it out loud because, again, this is a virtual day. You're at home for this virtual day. So it might be a little weird, but I won't. But I'm a little weird, so I won't judge. So let's do, I think we have 1, 2 more, and then we've got some modeling real life problems. So this one here, if you want to, you can pause, work it out, and then see if you got the same answer as I did. But if you're working it together with me, we're going to do 4 times the cube root of 3 times 7 plus 6 minus 4 times 7. And at this point here, you can plug this all into the calculator, or we can do it by hand. 3 times 7 is 21 plus 6. 4 times -7 is -28. Now 21 plus 6 is 27. Now the cubed root of 27 is 3, so we have 4 times 3 minus 28. Well, 4 times 3 is 12, and 12 minus 28 is negative 16. And that's it. That's all we have to do for this here. That's all we got to do. We're just plugging it in and simplifying. So I want you to go on and try this one here. So plug this one into the calculator. So pause the video, work it out, then plug it into the calculator, hit play, and see if our answers match up. And hopefully, you will get the same thing I do. So when we plug negative 11 in, so to plug it into the calculator, I kind of skipped that. We're going to plug in negative 11 for x there. 6 times negative 11 plus 2. And we plug all this in, we'll get negative 40, or should get negative 40. And that is it. That's all we have to do for this problem here. Awesome. Now, the last thing we're going to do is some modeling with real-world problems. Now, to find the surface area of a baseball display case, we have this here. Okay, remember, they told us this here. I was kind of a little worried there. Remember, the edge length S of a cube with volume V is given by S is equal to the cubed root of the volume, whatever the volume is. The surface area, S, so surface area, what we want, this S, what we want, is equal to 6S squared. So the surface area, let's call it SA, just so we know, is equal to 6 times the side length squared. Well, the side length is equal to the cubed root of the volume. Well, hey, look at this. It told us the volume is 125. So to solve this, what I'm going to do first is plug in 125 for V. So we're going to take the cubed root of 125. So we'll grab our calculator and do 3. Get the cubed root, 125, hit enter. And our calculator should tell us that the cubed root of 125 is 5. That's helpful. So that when we go to find the surface area, well, surface area is equal to 6 times the side squared. So we have 6 times 5 squared. And again, at this point here, we can plug all this into the calculator. We can do 6 times 5 squared, and 6 times 5 squared is 150. Is 150. And this here is in inches, so inches squared, because surface area is always dealt in units squared. And that's all we have to do for this here. That's it. That's it. I know that's a lot of steps, but really, we took the volume and simplified it using our formula to find the side length. So we did the cubed root of 125, which gave us 5. And then we plugged that into our other formula to find the surface area, because surface area is equal to 6 times 5 squared. And once we get that done and plug that in, we plugged it in and did 6 times 5 squared and got 150, which is our surface area. And that's it. And yes, we'll do another one. Let's look at another one here. The volume of a cube-shaped music box is 512 cubic centimeters. Find the surface area of the music box. So the first thing we're going to do is find the side length, which is equal to the cubed root of the volume. And once we find that side length to find the surface area, well, it's equal to 6 times the side length squared. So what's the volume? It told us it's 512. So S is equal to the cubed root of 512. So we can grab our handy-dandy calculator and do the cubed root of 512. And the cubed root of 512 is 8. And now we can take that 8 and plug it in for S. So our surface area is equal to 6 times 8 squared. And again, grab our calculator, do 6 parentheses 8 parentheses, close parentheses squared, or 6 times 8 squared. And we'll get 384, and this is going to be centimeters squared, because again, surface area deals in centimeters squared. And that's it. That is all we have to do for this here. So on the homework, make sure to remember these two formulas. So they're in the book, or you can write them down. I'd write them down just so you have them, just in case it comes up. But this is it. That's all we have to do for these two here. And that is it. That is it for this part of here, this part of 1.22, or 1.2, our cubed roots.